Well, here we are in chapter 27 of book of Leviticus, the final chapter of the book. Now, in this one, we're learning how properties are consecrated unto the Lord. Israel is commanded to pay tithes of their crops, flocks, and herds. So this is important because the word consecration is coming into play. So in this chapter, we're going to learn more about how to take something and go dedicate it to something that's a holier purpose. That's what consecration is for, is you basically set it aside for a holier purpose. So let's understand this a little bit better here. Verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, which is continuing Revelation, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. A singular vow. So what they're talking about is you are basically consecrating yourself. When you vow, I'm going to do this, I'm going to keep this commandment, I'm going to follow God, I'm going to dedicate my life to him, then you are making this special vow. Verse 3, and thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old, even unto 60. Even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver after the shekel of the sanctuary. If it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels. If it be from 5 years old even unto 20, then thy estimation shall be of the male 20 shekels, and for the female 10 shekels. So there's a price that you pay to dedicate this, basically to show there's an exchange. That dedication is there, a way to measure that. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to dedicate this. Oh, but I didn't really dedicate it, blah, 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 blah. You have to give them money, which means there is a sign, there's something external of you that tells people you're making this covenant, basically. So again, it's not about God, God doesn't need the money. God needs you to do something in an outward way that is very clear to everybody else what you have made, what the decision you've made, basically. Verse 6, if it be from a month old, even to 5 years, then thy estimation shall be of the male of 5 shekels of silver, and for the female thy estimation shall be 3 shekels of silver. Now this verse 6 might give you some questions like, wait, 1 month old to 5 years? Can a baby decide if they want to be consecrated to the Lord? No, the baby can't, but the parents can. As we'll see later on in the Old Testament, sometimes parents have consecrated their child to God, and that means that child can't grow up to be anybody else than a specific type of person or do certain types of things because of that consecration, basically. Verse 7, if it be from 60 years old and above, if it be a male, the estimation be 15 shekels, for the female 10 shekels. So it's cheaper for women than men to be consecrated to God, basically. I think that's important because one is, I think I wouldn't say it's a negative to women, because I think it shows that in a way God wants them to consecrate themselves to him, because then there's more blessings for them. So it's easier for them. It takes more work, more effort to consecrate a man. And so they need more work done or effort done to get that consecration there. And I think this is somewhat similar to what we see if you look at how the modern gospel is applied. There's more rules and guidelines that the guys have to follow than the women. I think that's kind of the similar concept here. Okay, verse 8, but if he be poorer than thy estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him. Accordingly to his ability that vowed shall the priest value him. If it be a beast whereof men bring an offering unto the Lord, all that any man giveth of such unto the Lord shall be holy. He shall not alter it nor change it, a good for a bad or a bad for a good. If he shall change at all, beast for beast, then it shall exchange thereof. The exchange thereof shall be holy. So if you dedicate an animal and you say, oh, well, I need to swap that. So, okay, if I dedicated a bull, I have to dedicate another bull and swap them, basically. Value for value. Otherwise, you really shouldn't change it. Verse 11, if it be any unclean beast of which they do not offer sacrifice unto the Lord, then he shall present the beast before the priest. The priest shall value it, whether it be good or bad, as thou valuest it, who art the priest, so shall it be. So you take it to the priest says, okay, here's what the value is. It's an unclean animal, so we don't use them anyways, but here's what the value is if that's what you want to dedicate. So there's ways of getting this dedication done, even if you don't have a lot of money. If you're poor, there's still that ability. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part thereof unto thy estimation. So you work with the priest to figure out the value, and whatever you guys come up with is what goes. When a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad. As the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. If he that sanctified it will redeem his house, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thy estimation unto it, and it shall be his. If a man shall sanctify unto the Lord some part of a field of his possession, then thy estimation shall be according to the seed thereof, and homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. So you're basically, if you sanctify something and want it back, it's costing you a lot of money to get it back. You shouldn't, honestly. You should just keep it sanctified. Verse 17, if he sanctify his field from the year of Jubilee, according to thy estimation, it shall stand. But if he sanctify his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon unto him the money according to the years that remain, even unto the year of the Jubilee, and it shall be abated from thy estimation. So they're using those 50-year cycles of the Jubilee year on valuations and estimations, basically. Verse 19, if he that sanctified the field will in any wise redeem it, then he shall add the fifth part of the money of thy estimation unto it, and it shall be assured to him. If he will not redeem the field, or if he have sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it goeth out in the Jubilee, shall be holy unto the Lord as a field devoted. The possession thereof shall be the priest's. If a man sanctify unto the Lord a field which he hath bought, which is not of the fields of his possession, then the priest shall reckon unto him the worth of thy estimation, even unto the year of the Jubilee. He shall give thine estimation in that day as a holy thing unto the Lord. So again, just talking about how this works out, okay? If you have a field, you dedicate it, consecrate it basically to God, but then you need to sell it. You got to move, you got to do something different, you have debts to pay, so there's the process you have to go through to deal with that, basically. That's what we're talking about here. Okay, so, excuse me. In the year of the Jubilee, the field shall return unto him of whom it was bought, even to him to whom the possession of the land did belong. So remember those Jubilee years. If you want to go look at, I believe it's chapter 25, talks about the Jubilee year. Go look that up and see that difference, because that's important to understand. All thy estimation shall be according to the shekel of the sanctuary. 20 gerahs shall be the shekel. All right, now only the firstling of the beasts, which should be the Lord's firstling, no man can sanctify it, whether it be ox or sheep, it is the Lord's. So the Lord has already claimed those. You can't sanctify those because he's already claimed that, basically. Verse 27, if it be of an unclean beast, then he shall redeem it according to thine estimation, and shall add a fifth part of it thereto, or if it not be redeemed, then it shall be sold according to thy estimation. Notwithstanding no devoted thing, that a man shall devote unto the Lord of all that he hath, both of man and beast, and of the field of his possession, shall be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy unto the Lord. So you shouldn't do something with it, basically, if you've already dedicated it to God. That's what we're talking about. Okay, verse 29, none devoted, which shall be devoted of men, shall be redeemed, but shall surely be put to death. Now, so if you've devoted yourself, you can't undevote yourself. Excuse me, all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. So this is the tithe, the tenth. Okay, 1/10, that's tithe, is you're giving that to the Lord. So you give all this extra to the priest, 1/10 of everything you do. So not just the sacrifices, the stuff you donate for sacrifices, but this is on top of that. Verse 31, if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. Now, a lot of people look at that verse right there and go, what does it mean to pass under the rod? Do you hold like a stick? You hold a stick and anything that goes underneath it is God's, basically? No, not quite. So let's look at this. Let's see. This is Clark in his book Bible Commentary. He says, when a man was to give the tithe of his sheep or calves to God, he was to shut up the whole flock in one fold, in which there was one narrow door capable of letting out one at a time. The owner, about to give the tenth to the Lord, stood by the door with a rod in his hand, the end of which was dipped in vermilion or red ochre. Excuse me. The mothers of those lambs or calves stood without. The door being opened, the young ones ran out to join themselves to their dams. And as they passed out, the owner stood with his rod over them and counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And when the 10th came, he touched it with a colored rod, by which it was distinguished to be the tithe calf, or sheep, or whatever it was. And whether poor or lean, perfect or blemished, that was received as the legitimate tithe. It seems to be in reference to this custom that the prophet Ezekiel, speaking to Israel, says, I will cause you to pass under the rod and will bring you into the bond of the covenant. You shall be once more claimed as the Lord's property and be in all things devoted to his service, being marked or ascertained by special provinces and manifestations of his kindness to be his peculiar people. Excuse me, boy, that darn catch in my throat. So this is to talk about this in a more modern sense. So basically, you create a pen, put all your flock into it, and you have a gate. Only one animal per time can come out, and as you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 10th one out, you mark it back with the marker. And then you do it again. You let 9 more out, and the 10th one you mark. 9 more out, 10th one mark. Then you gather up the 10th of everything, and that is what you give to the priest. That is the tithe. It doesn't have to be a perfect animal. It just has to be an animal, basically. Same with your fruits, same with your crops. All of that's a tithe. That's how they would do it. All right, verse 33, he shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it. If he change it at all, then both it and change thereof shall be holy. It shall not be redeemed. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai. So again, if you're like, oh, that 10th one, dang it, that's a really good sheep. I love that one. That's my favorite. I'm going to switch it with this other sheep that's got this bum leg or something. You can't change it. If you do, both of them are given up, basically. So it's not for us to go, oh, I want to give, but I'm going to give the least of I can. I'm going to try to find that loophole through God's commandment. It's not how it works, basically. Excuse me. So some really fascinating ideas that we learn in here about how consecration was set up when you dedicate things, how that works, as well as with tithing. They did pay tithing. They did have tithing back then. It's a law that's been around for a very long time. So thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the next book, not just the next chapter, the next book, which is the book of Numbers.